because today we're canceling the apocalypse again. Hey everybody, welcome back to our channel. We are the Movie Couple. I'm Wendy.
I'm Dustin.
And here is our review for Pacific Rim Uprising. Pacific Rim Uprising is directed by DeKnight and stars Jian Boyega, Scott Eastwood, Cailee Spaeny, and Rinko Kikuchi. Jake, the son of Stacker, returns to the academy to train a new generation of Jaeger pilots to protect the world against the new threat of kaijus. Where do we start with this movie? So this is the sequel to Pacific Rim, first helmed by Guillermo del Toro. Now it is directed by DeKnight. And I don't know if it was ever necessary, honestly, to be making a sequel to this movie. I was pretty satisfied with the first one. It's, you know,
the first one ended on a pretty good note, you know? It had the monsters, there was big battles, and then they blew up the portal in which they, well, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the first one, I don't know why you'd be watching
it's been a while.
A review for the second one if you haven't seen the first one yet. But, yeah, and it wrapped it up all nice and neat. So I guess they felt like, hey, you know, let's
it did okay.
New.
I think it did really well overseas, the first one. So they're like, let's just let's see if we can bring back the magic for the second one. And you brought up a good point. If you're watching this review and you haven't seen the first one, I guess maybe you're looking for the answer of whether or not you need to see the first one. I am actually going to say yes. You might have a different opinion than me. I'm actually going to say yes because they go kind of further into, they have these like inside jokes and various scenes and references to the previous movie that they don't really go and explain, thank God, because otherwise the movie would be forever long. And I think in order to kind of get those references so they don't fly over your head, you should give the first movie a watch.
Yeah, and plus the first movie is really good. And it's really fun, it's really vibrant, and I love the way it looks.
Now let's talk about this one. So, Jian Boyega is in this one, and we've known him as Finn from Star Wars. That's what he's most famously known for now. And he is just such a good actor, and he is very charismatic on screen.
Very fun to watch, and he just kind of oozes that kind of fun confidence.
Yeah, and I hear that he's like that personality that you kind of see in interviews. On and off set, like he's kind of always that vibrant, like happy-go-lucky kind of guy, and it kind of shows in his work. He's just very passionate. Did you also know that he produced this movie?
Oh, really?
As well, yeah.
I did not know that.
So he definitely cares a lot about this movie, and it shows in his work. So aside from Boyega and aside from like the great action pieces with the Jaegers and the kaijus, the movie overall was kind of a meh for me. It was fun. In the sense that it's, you know, if you enjoy giant robots fighting giant monsters, you're gonna like this movie, but it wasn't anything super special to me. It was very formulaic. It's, in my opinion, totally predictable. Like, I kind of saw where it was gonna go. The dialogue was okay. It's a fun popcorn flick.
Yeah.
I think. I don't think I'm not gonna give it a thumbs down or anything like that, but it didn't really stand out. I certainly don't think it was better than the first one.
Yeah, I think it really missed that magic that Guillermo del Toro brought to the first one. The way it looked, the color, the world that he kind of created was kind of missing in this one. And it really didn't feel like they did anything new. I had fun, you know, sitting down, watching some explosions, watching some cool action.
Yeah.
But other than that, you know, there's really nothing else much to it. Where the first one did just have a little bit more like...
More meaty. Yeah. Story. Did you feel that you were kind of a little bit like just waiting for time to pass when the kaijus were not the kaijus, but the Jaegers weren't on screen?
Yeah.
I felt a little bit like that, just waiting for the time to pass until you got the big action pieces. And those were a lot of fun, but like I said, totally predictable. We really liked Jian Boyega. I think he, for me, really carried the film on his own.
Oh, yeah, he really did. And, you know, another thing that kind of bugs me about these kind of movies is, in the first one, you can kind of, the way that they fought, you can kind of pull off on, like, why would you fight like that? If you're going up against a big monster, you first shoot everything that you have at the monster, then you go in personally and fight him. It's like, but they first, like, they run in headlong, and then they try to tackle them and, like, do punches, then they bring out the swords, then they bring out all the rockets. It's like, no, first shoot the rockets, make sure you have the swords when you're charging in. I always found it funny that, you know, throughout the entire battle, like in the first one, he's being carried, and then he pulls out the sword.
Right.
I'm like, why weren't you using that
Use
at the beginning?
Use it now! What are you waiting for?
But then they have those cool moments where you have the monster rising up, and then they go, whoosh,
Yeah, like when you power up, like it's
action pose.
It's pretty cool. Whenever those things came up, I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. But again, it's nothing we haven't seen before.
True.
And with that, I think it's time to give our rating. To be honest with you,
I think I'm going to give this movie. If you really like giant robot movies, go see a matinee so you can see it on the big screen. Other than that, rent it. That's what I'm going to say. I mean, because you can get popcorn at home. Even though it's usually not as good as movie theater popcorn. But, it's
if you put butter on it,
no,
melt your own butter, I guess you're just saving our viewers a little bit of money. Just rent it at home at a Redbox and pop your own popcorn. My rating is actually the same as yours. I was kind of between like check it out because we saw it on an IMAX screen. It is really, really cool to see and experience. But honestly, this movie, I don't think it's really for the audience here. I honestly think they created this movie for the overseas audience. Yeah. There's a lot of Chinese characters in this movie. There's a lot of spoken Chinese in this movie. And I'm going to add that this is one of the few times where I'm seeing how they translate the spoken, like the Mandarin, the Chinese, into English subtitles really, really accurately.
Oh.
Because there were times where I'm like, that's not what they said. And then this time I was like, wow, on point with these translations. I like it. So I think that's kind of where they're targeting their demographic because they know that it's going to work for those audiences. And that's fine. My rating for this movie, it was all right. It was entertaining at points. It was predictable. And for that, I'm going to say rent it. Well, you guys, that's it for this review for Pacific Rim Uprising. Let us know in the comment section below if you still plan to see this movie, and also what was your favorite about the first one, and what do you who do you predict that will make a epic motivational speech in this movie? Because today we're canceling the apocalypse again. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit that thumbs up button. It really helps us out. We also have a Patreon. It's linked below if you want to check that out. Thanks for your support, and we'll see you in the next review.